Welcome, everybody. Today is September 6, 2017, and this is Probate Roleplay Call number 23. If you've never joined us on one of these calls, it's different than our mastermind call, which we do every Thursday at 1 p.m. Eastern. This call is the first Wednesday of each month at 2 p.m. Eastern. But the format's quite a bit different. A lot of folks have questions about, getting letters ordered and what you do with, when your first set of leads are coming. Those are really questions for the mastermind call. What we try to focus on today is more sales and service oriented. So how do we start the initial conversation? What challenges are we having while prospecting on listing appointments, objections, things like that. And if this is your first time to the role play call and you haven't listened to any of the archived calls, a couple places you can find them. If you're a subscriber, just log into subscriber portal, and on the left, click on conference calls, and then the blue button to access call archives. And excuse me, it's kind of in a calendar format. You can go back month to month. But we've got about 2 years worth of these calls. And if you're not a subscriber, you can find it by looking through the discussion board on All the Leads Mastermind, our private Facebook group, if you're a member of that. So All the Leads Mastermind. And you can use the search bar to type in role play, and it will bring up the 22 archive calls, and later today this one will be posted there. So tomorrow's mastermind call, and again that's tomorrow at 1 p.m., same number, but 1 p.m. Eastern, is the first mastermind call of the month. So we're doing a Ask the Expert, and we actually have a prominent probate attorney that came from a different career after probating his family ranch for the third time to 100% focus on helping families avoid probate, and if they haven't avoided probate, to navigate probate. So a really good fit with our business values, and we have an opportunity for me and for you guys to interview an active probate attorney, and he's in the state of Arkansas, but we're going to speak in generalities. So be sure and show up tomorrow for that call as well. If you have something you want to role play, you can press *6 and then 1 at any time. And my partner Tom is with us. He's going to be running the phone console because of my Adobe Flash challenges today. So Tom will let me know if there's someone in the queue. So *6 and then 1. And if you don't enter the queue, I'll try to fill awkward silence with babble, I suppose. We have brave souls that jump up. Is there anybody in the queue, Tom?
I don't see one yet. Come on, everybody.
I'm going to put Tom in the hot seat.
You don't want to listen to that. Come on.
Well, I'll start with just kind of talking about one of the common themes that I've been hearing across the country, and that's people are talking to families who are like, we don't need help, our attorney's got it, or no, we already got it handled. And that seems to be the number one objection that I've heard this summer, which is a lot different than what I've heard in the past over the last 3 years. So it seems that more investors are going to the courthouse or getting data however they're getting it, and they are hammering these people with, the kind of the we buy houses message. So by the time we reach out to them, if you're in one of those hyper-competitive markets, sometimes if you identify yourself as calling about the real estate, you've already shot yourself in the foot because you've already earned a reputation of the last guy they spoke to. So what we found to be more effective is actually opening the conversation, again, as we always teach, is focusing on the people and the situation, and then finding a way to segue into the real estate conversation. So what we teach is, think of yourself as, and we want you to craft your own language, but think of yourself as kind of the hub and a wheel. And one of those spokes is real estate. One is estate sales. One is estate planning. One is senior moving. One is, nursing home contacts, contractors, clean-out crews, all those people that we teach you to align yourself with. And if you're kind of the third party in the middle, in the hub of the wheel, starting the conversation, then they're going to understand you're kind of taking a comprehensive look at their situation and how your team can help. And then one of those things happens to be real estate. And by the way, Mr. Seller, Mr. Executor, one of the big things that we do is we handle the real estate sales, because on our team we really understand the process. And typically 80% of the wealth is contained in the primary residence of an estate. So we actually handle the sale of the real estate so we can, free up assets, free up cash to settle the liabilities. Is there a home that you guys have that you need to deal with? So you can segue into it after the initial conversation. A lot of folks that have done FSBO and expired just try to jump right in and use the deceased last known address and act like that's the subject property and they know everything about it. And reality is that could be a nursing home. It could have been a family member's home. It may have not even been owned by them. It's just the deceased last known address. So you're better off to approach it, asking them. A really good question is, once you've kind of introduced yourself and you establish who you are, how you got their information, and why you're reaching out, what you have to offer. A really good question to get the conversation started is, what's been the toughest thing for you guys so far? Or what are you finding to be most challenging? And it's not at all related to real estate. You're giving them permission to talk about anything. And then you'll find a way to bring the real estate into the conversation. And that's been a much more effective way to get the conversation started in those markets where people are getting hammered by competition and just, our folks are getting cold receptions on the phone. So hopefully that helps. Tom, anybody in the queue?
Yes, we do. We have John at 9700. See if I can get John on. John, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Hey, John.
Hey, how you doing?
Good.
Really, I just subscribed to the system like 2 weeks ago, and so I saw a few in my list for August leads. Actually, I got, and there was a few attorneys and a few banks that had filed as the personal representative, and I just wanted to see. I had posted it in the mastermind group, but I don't think anyone answered it on Facebook. But I just wanted to kind of see is what other people's thoughts were on, should I even approach the banks, because are they really just trying to, there's a property that's foreclosed on, and is it going to make it to anybody, or am I just wasting my time and money? And then for the attorneys, I guess the attorneys are filing for their clients. Maybe there's not a personal representative, or they're the personal representative. And, should I send out the personal rep letter, or should I send out the attorney letter to them? Because one of them, it was the same attorney as personal representative. So I think it would be redundant that if I sent them the same letter with two different names on it from my mail merge, or from whatever, that they know it's canned then.
Okay. So, Tom, do we have anybody else in the queue for a role play?
Not right now.
Okay. This is a mastermind question. I'm sorry I didn't get to answer yet. I started to answer and I was on my phone, and I just hate typing on my phone, so I'm glad you asked. So what you're seeing is, the personal representative, if it's a bank, typically that's somebody who had a wealth account with a bank. And a lot of times, like the ones I've seen are usually larger banks like Wells Fargo. And Wells Fargo has a wealth management division. So typically what that means is the family member who passed away either knew that he didn't want to put the burden of administering his or her estate on the family, or he or she didn't trust the family to administer the estate. So rather than just leaving the family to fight it out, the will actually appointed his private wealth manager or banker as the personal representative. Now, that can be really good. It can be really easy for you because they have the say in what happens to the estate. And chances are, if a banker is named as the personal representative, the will was clearly written with the wishes of the deceased. So it's more of a B2B transaction. So this person works at a bank and needs to carry this out. He probably doesn't want to administer an estate, and he doesn't know how to navigate all the things that you're going to. You're going to be really valuable to that person. So absolutely reach out.
Okay.
I think that if you can reach them by phone, you're probably going to be more effective. the thing with banks is, getting a letter to get through the channels of a bank and to the right person is it's probably
Very
impossible. So I would try to work your way through the phone, the phone tree, and find the right person that is actually representing the estate. And that part might prove to be hard, but it may prove to be hard, but you may be the only one that actually puts that effort forward. As far as the attorney being the personal representative, typically that is a public administrator or a fiduciary. And you're in Florida, right?
Yes.
Yes, I think it's called a public administrator in Florida. And same thing. It's a B2B. That's what he does for a living. So when the will, if there's any kind of a dispute among the heirs, the court will step in and say, okay, listen, we're appointing a public administrator to administer the estate according to the will. If there was no will and there are no heirs, then the court will say, okay, we're appointing a public administrator to administer this estate according to state law. So there are a couple situations, but typically it's the same thing. They have multiple files each month. That's why you saw his name more than once.
Right.
Because he is known to the court as a public administrator. He's gone through the process of being, on that list to be appointed. So that's somebody you really want to know. And as far as sending him a letter, just forget it. If he's within driving distance, you should go meet that person. What we found with attorneys and with public administrators and fiduciaries, once they really understand the full scope of what we teach and what you're going to be offering, they're just blown away. And you'll see that tomorrow when we have the attorney on our mastermind call. I think you'll hear from the horse's mouth, you'll hear what his impression was of Roger Lisi compared to every other real estate agent that's ever called or walked through his door or sent him a letter. So that you definitely want to know that fiduciary, and that fiduciary needs to know how you can serve his business, and that also represents his client's best interest. So, how do you get homes sold for the most amount of money in the shortest amount of time and take a lot of the redundancy off of his plate, like answering questions about personal property and getting stuff cleaned out and paying the taxes and, like things that are related to the real estate. If you can take some of that conversation on his behalf early in the process, then you save him time and you make the process easier for him. And help him understand that when you meet him, and show him that you'll go the extra mile and that you're really going to take care of these people and make it more efficient for everybody.
Okay, thank you.
And if you want, we can role play that. We don't really have attorneys in my market, so I'll be shooting from the hip. But if you want, we can role play.
I'll wait right now.
Okay. Rejected.
Sorry.
No worries.
Prepared.
All right. Well, good questions. Guys, anything positive, negative, anything you want to share, please jump up. The more participation we have, the better this call is for everybody. *6 and then 1 to enter the queue.
Looking for volunteers. We got one.
All right.
We have 4 last digits, 0648.
Hey.
Hey.
Are you there? Hello?
Hello, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can now.
Okay, I went muted, unmuted, and then I went back to muted and back to unmuted. But hey, I signed up at the end of July. We just got started. We got some letters out. Just started calling. So I have a couple questions. I listened to a couple of the calls on Thursday too. So for anyone who gets discouraged, my first set of calls, I did get one guy who said he'd sell me the house for twice what it was assessed value was, which was kind of funny. But there's more ways to get leads. I saw one, the attorney's name was listed. I happen to know the attorney. We had bought a property before from him, actually from his relative. And so I called him about the house. The house was under agreement for like a year, and they're going through registered land court, they call it up here in Massachusetts. But he wound up, he has 2 different properties for me to go look at. So I think part of the prospecting is you just mind open and you always ask questions. But from listening to you guys before, it seems like what I'm going to be really good at is going and contacting the attorney's offices, and then you're talking about the public representatives or fiduciaries. So do you have a package in any of the letters or any of that? Do you have a good package or a list? I think I saw a list of all of the services, but I'd like to get that printed out if you have that online.
I think the best resource we have for that is so Bud Thompson is one of our, I'll call you an ambassador, Bud, if you're on here. And he shared a trifold brochure. If you look in the Facebook group, All the Leads Mastermind,
okay.
And on the left, click on Files.
Okay.
In there, you can see the original trifold that he shared, and then an updated version. You can also email support@alltheleads.com and request a trifold sample.
Okay.
And we have probably 4 or 5 different trifolds now that we've done that are already designed and ready to print by us. You can have them printed. I don't know the cost off the top of my head, but it's really competitive. But we haven't been able to. We've got to do the coding to get them in the online editor, and which is a bigger job than it sounds. So for now, we just got them in a folder, and Alyssa can send you the folder so you can take a look at them.
All right, I'll do that. So so we just.
But definitely the most effective thing is the face-to-face contact with those folks. We find that those people that rely on mail and phone calls usually hit walls and become discouraged pretty quickly. The ones that really put themselves out there and go visit the attorneys face-to-face usually come back with a really surprised positive report, like, "Oh my God, they loved it. They've said they've never met an agent like me." So it's the key there is definitely getting out there and showing them what you're doing. It's look them in the eye, shake their hand, and have that conversation, which it sounds like you did a really good job with on your first one.
Yeah, no, and I would say to anyone else, don't get discouraged. The phone calls is kind of an activity, and you might get lucky and you might not. But I think if you keep doing it, you will eventually make progress. But, just in the past, I had a guy call me up, and I didn't know. He said, "I want you to list my house." And so I go meet him, and I said, "Where'd you get my name?" It was a lawyer, and we had sold another one of his clients a property, so he recommended. And then I have a broker friend of mine whose whole business is built on just the relationship she's built with lawyers that handle estates. So the business is definitely there, and you guys have been a great help to me, I think, really just to speed up the process. So I'll keep posted on it, but I appreciate the comments that you just made, and I will do that. I will follow up with support. I have to get logged into the Facebook. I was banned from Facebook by my kids because I'm a Trump supporter. So I had to lie low since the election, but now I've snuck back on, and I just don't make too many comments. So I'll have to hook up to your site.
Okay. Well, if you just search in the top search bar, All the Leads Mastermind,
Okay,
and you can find us, and then I'll let you in.
All right, thanks. Keep up the great work.
All right. Thanks for your comments. Tom, anybody in the queue?
We have one more.
All right.
Tom, 8607.
Yeah, hey, how y'all doing today?
Good. How are you, Tom?
Great, Thomas.
Good, thanks. I just wanted to go over, there was nobody in the queue. I had a call last week, and it was with a guy who, he's the representative. It's here in Florida, one of 6 children. Had a great conversation with him, just literally went right down the list of everything, found out who was on the deed, where the property was, how he got into this position, and got to the end, and I said, okay, I want to come see it, and when can I come see it? He goes, can you be here by 12:30, which it's about an hour away, and I said, yeah. So a team member and I got the address and went out to see him. And when we got there, there was already a person in there talking to him. And we just, introduced ourselves. And the guy had said he really wants to get rid of it. He doesn't want to do a listing. I asked him if he'd be interested in doing a listing. He said, no, I don't. But, of course, my goal was to try to get a listing out of it. versus just making a not cash offer, which he wanted a cash offer. Well, there's other guys in there, and we couldn't get him to leave. In other words, the guy was like, you could tell he was just walking around. And so we finally went outside, took pictures, evaluated the house, we already had done a CMA, we knew that $1 per square foot, average in the area for good condition, and so everything was going well, and we finally waited out this other person who was an investor waiting to make an offer. We got in, we talked to him, and he started to give us the whole story about how he's the guy making the decision, but there's 3 other people on the deed, but 2 of them live in Texas, and they're getting ready to get hit by a hurricane. It was a big, long story. But when we got to the point where we started getting a little bit more information out of him, one of the questions was, so how many, just curiosity, how many people have contacted you? And he said 40 to 50. And that kind of struck us as, because our county still registers as being available at all the leads, and that means hopefully that we're still one of like 2 or 3 people in this county. I don't really know how to respond to that, but it was just kind of threw me that this area. Would you consider this area ultra competitive? I know you've talked about that. And are there different things we need to do in this kind of environment?
Well, you're in the land of real estate gurus. For the past 50 years, guys have been selling courses and seminars in your state like mad. So investors, were there long before we started teaching real estate agents to approach this proactively. Investors have been hounding these people for years. And there's plenty of people, all the way back to the early 70s, there's a guy named, I think his name was Claude Diamond. And, he's taught investors how to do this, and it's a one-sided offer. So you're not ever going to be able to eliminate that competition, but you can certainly differentiate yourself from them and make your offer stand out, well above it. And, most investors are offering usually one thing. We'll buy the house, we'll close quickly on your terms, and you don't even have to empty it out. That's usually their only offer. If that number doesn't work for the seller, they're gone. They never hear from them again. Where if you prepare your business in such a way that you can offer everything they can, but so much more, then you really got something to talk about. So they've talked to 50 people who are going to look way different than you once you really say, here's what we can do. And it really starts, before you say that, it really starts with understanding their situation and their challenges. And if this guy if he really just needed to dump the house, my first question would have been, maybe we can turn this into a role play, and I'll kind of show you how I would have handled that based on what I know about the story. But the key is really showing them how you're different and how that your service is really in their best interest. So if you're willing to role play it, let's jump into it, and I'll kind of go with what you've told me so far.
Well, I'll give it a shot.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So, and good job on waiting the other guy out. I got a screaming deal on an RV one time because I would not leave. And so I stood there and just waited the guy out, and I used really awkward body language. I'm 6'7", so it's I'd cross my arms and walk toward him, but he finally went away, and I bought the RV. So good job on doing that and actually being there to have the conversation. So we'll just start with that guy left, and we're kind of there. So okay, well listen, I was outside walking around while you were talking to him, and it looks like there's some work to be done here. I can see why you just want to dump it instead of doing the work, but tell me a little bit more about the situation.
I'm in no hurry. And I don't need to sell it, and I don't have the money. I don't need the money right now, but I'm not interested in listing it at all. But I'm in no hurry.
Okay. Can I ask why you're not interested in listing and why you're looking for cash offers?
I'm not in the best health, and I don't want to be dealing with it, and right now I want to get rid of it as fast as I can, but I'm in no hurry. I have to come up here every 2 weeks and mow the lawn, and I just got to get away from mowing this lawn. But I'm in no hurry.
Well, how many folks have you met with or spoke to about it?
Well, I've already got 3 offers, and I've probably talked to about 15.
Okay.
And then that's, so about 15, but I already got some offers. But I'm in no hurry right now to get rid of it. I just want to get, the best deal I can. I just don't want to list it.
Okay. Well, let me ask you, were those offers surprising numbers to you, or are they pretty close to your comfort zone?
They were pretty good.
Okay. So I'm sure you've probably talked, you've understood this by meeting with that many people. I mean, investors, they make money by buying equity, right? So they buy equity at a discount. So typically they're going to be 70 cents on the dollar, or there's no room for them to make money after they pay for that. The reason I say that is you say you're not in a hurry, and we've worked with a lot of folks before that really don't understand what we do, and that we can actually take you out of the equation so you're not like this. It sounds like you're really stressed out by coming up here mowing and having to check on the house and dealing with all this, and I haven't even asked you about the personal property that's in here. I mean, if there's a plan for that. What we find is a lot of folks will dump houses and therefore dump a lot of their equity just because they want a quick solution to that stressful problem, because they're already dealing with a lot with the estate. And the way our business is designed, we have a team that can help with all of this stuff. We can take care of getting the yard mowed. We can get the personal property completely cleaned out, get the house in its best showing condition. The way, if you have time, and we can take those problems away, and we can sell the house without that 30% discount, is that something you're interested in? Would you rather make more money in more time, or take less money in less time?
Well, I just don't want to hassle with the listing part and going through all that, and if I had to take a $30,000 bath, I would.
Okay. Well, in that case, I'll talk to you about the investors that we represent. We've got a couple of dozen cash buyers that do. Probably some of the guys that were here have bought houses from us before. I'm not sure who all you met with, but we know all the investors in town. The big difference, if we bring you a cash offer, we are going to be representing you, and we'll have the buyer pay us, or we'll agree on a fee, and that way you can make sure that the contract's written correctly, and that we get your other siblings' signatures on it and chase the paperwork, because it sounds like you're a little stressed out over the prospect of even signing a listing agreement. I'm not sure if you've thought about what that means of negotiating a contract and following it all the way through to closing. You're going to be on your own if you don't have any representation. Have you thought about that?
Yeah, I've thought about it, and I'm one of 6 boys, and there's only 2 left, and they both live in Tech. One of them lives in San Antonio, and the other one lives in Houston, and that hurricane's coming there, and I just don't want to hassle with it all, and I'm worried about them, and I got this, I just, I know all that. If I needed to fix this up, I could put a tin roof on this house myself, and oh, by the way, yeah, I've already done like 2 tin roofs, so I just don't want to hassle with it. Like I said, I already got 3 offers, and I just don't want to hassle with it.
I'll be frank. If I can take away all the hassles and show you how easy the paperwork is and make you another $30,000, you're not interested in my service?
Not right now.
Okay.
Well, what I'll do is I'll think about it.
I can only help the willing. So all I can do is leave you a business card and tell you don't give the house away, because even though this feels really painful and really stressful to you right now, I can take that part away, and I can make you and your brothers a lot more money. So just remember this conversation before you sign any of those offers, and you let me know if I can help you tomorrow.
Okay. We can break. That's what we did, but we said we were going to call them back, And we did call him back about 5 days later because the hurricane was blowing out, and we just wanted to say, hey, Bobby, hope everything's going okay, and we were just wondering how the other offers went, and we've left a message, and we haven't heard back from him. And so, yeah, we went over how we could get more money for him, take away exactly what you just said. And there were two of us there. So, it was almost like you just said. We tried to say if we could take away, we could mow the lawn if we had to. You don't have to come here when we show it. We can take care of that. But if you gave us, even just a certain amount of time, give us a chance to get a top dollar for it. But he just wouldn't bite off, and I was just wondering how else we could have handled it.
You did fine. You're outnumbered. So you had 40 people that were trying to basically buy that $30,000 in equity at a discount, right? So they were trying to make his equity their equity. So they painted the picture of what a big hassle it was and how hard he was working and how cumbersome the paperwork is and how stupid realtors are and how long it's going to take and how it's going to compound his problems. And then they made themselves the solution. So that's what you're selling against. He had over a dozen conversations that went along those lines before you got there. So you did all you could. I'll tell you what you took away from this situation. You took away some perspective on how to handle these people in the future, but you also got a really good story. So let me tell you a story about the last guy I talked to that said this. He left $30,000 on the table because he said he had all the time in the world, but he was pushed by people. He was pushed into believing his situation was just insurmountable, and that cost him $30,000. So do you want to be my next story, or can I help you?
Right.
So take the story, grow from it, use it in future appointments. We're never going to get them all, especially in really competitive markets, but don't let it discourage you. I mean, you did everything right. It's just a matter of someone else was more convincing than you they probably built stronger rapport and talked to him about those 2 tin roofs for an hour and a half and got him to really bond with them. And he felt bad not selling it to him.
Well, I know a lot more about his family than went on in this call. I'll tell you that much because it was hard to get him back on track half the time. But the other thing was the offers that were coming in that he says he got offered, I wouldn't have given it to him because we figured it needed $30,000 to $35,000 worth of updating just based on our knowledge of knowing what prices are. And so we're going to still call. We're going to still follow up just to see if we can't find out if they fall through.
Well, and here's the other thing I'll mention. A very large number of people who call themselves investors in your state are first-time or wannabe wholesalers. They're the guys that are sticking bandit signs up and spending their last $100 on postcards or whatever. And a lot of them won't follow through on the contracts they write. If they feel that competition, they make a stupid offer, they get it under contract for too high of a price, they string these people along for 30 days, and on the last day they'll cancel their contract on the weasel clause. And it's up, my private financing fell through, I can't close. And then this person's right back at square one because this person wasted their time. And I've seen it happen. I'm not in nearly as a competitive market as you, but I see it happen all the time. And people get in bad situations because of poor wholesalers. I bought a house 2 weeks ago. I had 3 hours to make a decision because a wholesaler wasted this guy's time telling him it was worth $85 up until literally the last 3 hours. He had the fundest deal, and the wholesaler screwed him. And I could have gotten it for less, but I made him whole on his deposit and just took his position in the contract. But the wholesaler said he could sell it for $85. It was only worth $70. So there's a good chance that could be happening if there's that many people circling that house. The wholesalers who don't know what they're doing could have driven the price up on the offers, and he took the highest offer, not necessarily the most credible offer. and in about 30 days he'll learn what a mistake that was. That happens more often than you would think.
Right. Okay. Well, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yep. Thanks for sharing with everybody. Tom, anybody in the queue?
No volunteers right now. We need one.
All right, guys. Well, we're after 2:30. If nobody has anything they want to role play, we'll wrap up. We'll make this the last call for role plays. If you have something you want to go through, please press *6 and then 1. Any takers?
No takers yet.
All right. Well, guys, we didn't role play a whole lot this call. So between now and the next call, listen to some of our past recorded role play calls and get out there, get on the phones, put some of this into action, and bring it back. Come back next month, and let's role play. And the more we can share, like the scenario we just went through, the better off we all are. So I'm gonna try the Sullivan close here. Take one thing you heard here today, put it into action, and come back next month and tell us how it went and what's working for you. And remember, guys, tomorrow at 1 p.m. we'll have the probate mastermind call with the probate attorney from Arkansas that will share with us. So thanks for your time today. Have a great day.